welcome back to another video. Today I am building my house, which is really cool. So I'm basically just doing a speed build of a tiny home. Yeah, this is what it ended up looking like. So it looks quite cool, if you ask me. Yeah, so it's really cool. It's about $2,500. I can't remember exactly how much, but I'm going to make a guess of that's how much it is, but I am not entirely sure yet. So if you try doing it and you run out of bucks, then you can just save up enough for the next bits and voila, I guess. Yeah. So I'm just gonna add some toilets because I forgot to do it in the speaker. I realised when I was doing it. But yeah, toilets on the wall, guys. Toilets on the wall. So yeah, it's a grinding house, but I wanted to decorate it a bit better. So basically, you can do the food and water, toilet task, sleep task there, and then you can do the board task and the bath task. And I made a little ice cream with a spoon. That bit you can see there, but pretend that's part of the table, guys. Just pretend that's part of the table. Simple. Yeah. So. house, but if you don't like it, then you don't have to copy it or do anything with it. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope it helped with lots of your grinding.